What's going on, guys? My name is Tristan with InGrain, and we are conducting a video series. The video series is going to be called High Heat with InGrain, basically showcasing each member of InGrain and also possibly affiliates in the near future. So thanks for coming to the channel, and I hope you enjoy the video. Peace. And we're back. Okay, so today I'm going to be making the not so chicken adobo. The reason why I call it a not so chicken adobo is because it's not your typical traditional adobo where it's like brown sugar, sweet. I don't like to add any sugar to mine, and I will show you why. So let's prep the vegetables. First off, I'm gonna go ahead and get my onion right here. Boom. My tip is honestly clean as you go, as best as you can. Have a garbage or a trash can right next to you just so you can start throwing stuff away, because you want to keep your area as clean as possible. Okay, rip this off and you should get this, I guess, lighter and shinier, onion right here. So once you kind of peel off that first couple layers and the skin, what I like to do first is I am going to leave this little root on and cut down vertically like so. And the reason why I'm doing this is so it's easier to dice the onion. And once you get all vertical lines, you're gonna switch it to its other side and it kind of just chop down. This is probably the easiest way for me to dice onions. So we're just gonna do a quick little rough dice. Boom, boom, boom. No one's judging my cutting here just because, I'm making this for the homies. We'll start off with half an onion. Next, you want to get some garlic. For garlic, personally, it's all about preference. I don't think more or less garlic is the wrong option. First off, I kind of just cut off the hard part, toss that in the trash, put your knife on top, smash. Don't be afraid to kind of hit it pretty viciously, but obviously keep the knife side down. It's okay to smash the garlic, honestly, because once you smash it, you kind of activate all the oils inside of the garlic. Okay, so now that I have all my smashed garlic, and now we just go straight to dicing. So with the dicing, here, let me turn to you guys right here. With the dicing, you want to tuck in your fingers and just go. You don't have to go fast, as long as you're getting a nice little dice on it. You should have little small pieces, and as you go, you can just kind of break things up.
So when did you start cooking?
Honestly, I first started cooking in 7th grade. The reason why I started cooking was because I actually took a home economics class back in Guam at my middle school, Jose Rios. Shout out to the Voyagers, gotta give him a shout out. Yeah, it was a home economics class. I really didn't want to do it at first, but I kind of got some, interest in it because my family's all about cooking. My family's all about feeding the people, the family, friends, whoever. So once I took that class, that's what kind of, I guess, ignited that passion and interest into me to start cooking. So that's kind of where it all started. And I honestly forgot my teacher's name, but if she's watching this video, thank you so much for, I guess, bringing this interest in me, because she was a great teacher, taught me, all the basics I needed to know. And personally from there, that's probably the only, I guess, type of academic culinary, whatever you want to call it, that I've taken in my lifetime. So everything's kind of been self-taught to me and stuff like that. But yeah, here I am now. Shout out Mrs. 7th grade home ec teacher. Okay, so now that we diced up minced up our garlic, our onions, we're gonna go straight into the green onions. This is not really necessary, but I kind of like to add my touch to it. For those that kind of know me, they know I throw green onions on fucking everything because it adds color, it adds a little bit of that I guess onion flavor, and personally it goes well with adobo. So haters gonna hate.
Chicken adobo.
Chicken adobo, that's the easy one. Chicken adobo is not even like my most favorite Filipino food, but I think chicken adobo kind of resonates with me because back to that class I took in middle school, this was one of the first dishes I learned to make. So when it comes to like cooking, the first things I really made was like spam, eggs, rice, but adobo was technically the first dish I learned, and it kind of opened my eyes to kind of realize that, like, there is elements to cooking, there is like a process. So it really taught me how to cut basic vegetables, understand flavor profiles, because Adobo has that sweet, that salty, that umami flavor from the chicken, and I guess that's why I chose adobo, because I made this, I guess, countless times for friends, family, for events, things like that. But top of my head, if I need to name or break down an entire recipe, adobo is the first thing that comes to mind. Over here, we're julienning some green onions for the garnish. I like to julienne the onions. You can just slice them up if you want, but personally, julienne kind of adds that, I guess, elegance to it. If you want to look over here, they're kind of thinly sliced. Not the best cut, but it gets the job done with how good something looks or presentation, and it's fun. It does take a little bit of practice though, but once you get it down with the amount of times that you put green onions on random dishes, you should be able to get the skill down. So over here I have drumsticks, half cup soy sauce, okay. We'll go a third cup of distilled white vinegar, throw it in. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. You want to make sure all the chicken is coated correctly. What we're going to do is we're going to get some saran wrap, cover the top, and throw this in the fridge for a couple minutes, Alright, now that you let the meat marinate for about roughly 30 minutes to an hour, so while that's heating up, let's throw in the oil. And we'll put this in. That sizzling you get right there, that's exactly what you want. Be careful, it might pop because, ooh, got shot. Once the chicken kind of sits on the pan, it'll start to settle down a little bit. What you want to see is a browning all around. You're not going to fully cook the chicken because that's what we're going to simmer after, but after you let the chicken sit on the pot for maybe a couple minutes, now it's okay to start twisting and turning. You want to pay attention to the chicken. You don't want to overcook it right away off the bat, because once you start simmering it, our goal is to not have the meat fall off the bone. Feel free to flip it over as many times as you really want. But yeah, constantly rotate it. Make sure one side is not getting overcooked, and get this nice little browning on each side right here, right?
So why InGrain?
That's a good question. InGrain, we chose InGrain is because we wanted to start a brand, a company that also, feeds the people, friends, everyone around the community. InGrain really kind of clicked right when me and Isaiah were kind of talking and coming up with a name, and we wanted something that sticks in your head, something that makes you want to come back to our restaurant and, eat our food, not just for the food itself, but more so the brand that we are creating. So that's really why I chose InGrain.
What do you feel is each other's strengths and how you guys do?
So when it comes to Isaiah, I think his strength is hot fire, charcoal grill, Guam style barbecue. So he can really throw down in the kitchen. I really think that his skills in the kitchen are very underrated. He is very knowledgeable in a lot of different aspects. For me personally, my strength, I like to I'm more of like an experimental cooker. I kind of cook. Let's lower down the heat a little bit. It's okay to start to change up the temperature every now and then. You want to make sure the chicken's not burning too much. But yeah, my strength really, I like to plate nice. I like to come up with artistic, displays. I like to kind of have fun with my cooking, and that's where we kind of come together as one. He really is the one who's putting in a lot of the sweat outside on the grills, and me, I'm in the kitchen, and we kind of work well together. Obviously, our positions are interchangeable, but when it comes down to strengths, I really think that he thrives off of the grills. This brown color is starting to, I guess, surface all of the entire chicken, which is exactly what we want. If you notice, you poke at it, it still has that bounce to it, that plumpness, and that's exactly what we want. I lowered the heat a couple times. That's really depending on how steady your fire is, or see what kind of it looks like. This is basically going to highlight the entire dish at the end. You'll see later. Always get the onion softened first. You see the onions translucent, you want to move things around, try and scrape off that bottom portion. You don't want to overcook the onions too much. Let's throw in the garlic right here. Cooking adobo, a lot of people cook the onions, the garlic first, and then they add the chicken to it to get, you know, the flavors transfused. But since we're simmering it for like maybe 30 minutes, I personally like to cook the onions and garlic after so they don't get overcooked right away. And then right when you start to smell that garlic, you're gonna get the chicken and you're gonna toss it right over. Pick up the heat a little bit more, keep moving it, boom. All right, now that the onions and garlic are starting to get caramelized even more, let's throw back in the marinade. I hope you didn't throw this away because this is very important. Let's throw that back in. Let it simmer, reduce just for a little bit. When it comes to adobo, I kind of like how the fat separates from the liquid itself, and you know has basically lets the liquid kind of be a little bit runny. So that's personally how I like it. But once we add another ingredient, it'll start to, I guess, thicken up the sauce. But in order to thicken up the sauce, you can always just simmer it without the cover on. Pick up the heat a little bit. You want to make sure the heat's high enough to get that simmer back. Now I'm starting to get hungry, guys. Now that the marinade or liquid is starting to simmer, get the water, throw it on top. The liquid should maybe cover, I want to say 65% of the chicken. Obviously, a lot of liquid or sabao is great, but I'm only cooking about 5 pieces of chicken, so I don't need too much liquid. If you guys want more liquid, you could always add more water, but it's totally up to your preference. All these measurements are kind of, I guess, so-so. It's really up to you guys on how you like your adobo, but this is how I make it personally. All right, so now that the chicken is coming back up to that boil, cover, put on the top, lower down the heat. All right, now that the chicken has been simmering for about 5 or so minutes, let's do the first uncover. This here. What you start to notice is that the chicken is coming off the bone. You know, it's okay if it does that. I know at first we said we didn't want that, but you know, these chicken tend to cook a little bit faster on a pretty decent high heat. Like to flip it over, and then next we get another ingredient that I mentioned earlier. These are tomatoes. I like to put tomatoes in my adobo because sugar, you know, sometimes makes it too sweet, and if you simmer it too long, the sauce starts to thicken up. And like I said earlier, the adobo for me is basically a kind of a little bit of a runnier sauce. These are Campari tomatoes over here. You can use Roma tomatoes, regular tomatoes, whatever type of tomatoes, cherry, it's up to you. But personally, tomatoes is tomato for me, right? So now we have tomatoes. What you're not gonna do is chop it up. I like to squeeze it. I got this tip from Troy Corpus. That's the homie right there. He squeezes his tomatoes in his Tanak, which possibly might be another video later. We'll see, but let's get right back to it. We'll get maybe 2 tomatoes. Doesn't be too much. I have, like I said, 5 pieces of chicken. What you're gonna do is you're gonna just crush it. Ooh, it's juicy. And just throw it in right there. Keep the tomatoes whole, but at the same time, you expedite that process of it getting broken down. And then once you do that, kind of just break it inside. And then the seeds and the insides of the tomato will start to infuse with the sauce, causing it to, I guess, make the sauce a little bit lighter in color, sweeter in taste. And once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and reduce the sauce a little bit more, all right? Now we're back. So what we're gonna do is lift it up. It's been simmering for about, I wanna say 5 minutes or so, very low. You wanna hear those little bubbles. Next, let's get the bay leaves. Honestly, 2 should be fine. Just going through 2 bay leaves, throw it down, boom. Agitate it again a little bit. Meat is starting to fall off the bone. This should be done in about, I want to say 5 or so minutes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave it uncovered just so the sauce can thicken up just a little bit. You want to notice that the sauce is starting to get a little bit lighter in color. That's what happens when the tomatoes start to infuse and stuff like that. So now that the bay leaves have been simmering for about 5 or so minutes, let's get a spoon. You want to taste it a little bit. Now's the time for you to add a little bit more salt or pepper, black pepper. I like to use ground black pepper. You can traditionally you would use peppercorns and you would let that cook at the beginning, but I like to just add it at the end, honestly. Just kind of get the seasonings infused. Maybe like a teaspoon and a half or so. Mix it up. Should be ready very soon. Those are some good looking chickens right there, honestly. A little bit of salt maybe. Maybe like a pinch. We'll just mix that up. Do one final taste test. A couple more minutes. And this should be ready to plate. I want to pick up the heat a little bit more, just so we can get that sauce to reduce. And we'll taste it real quick before it gets hotter. That's the break. I really taste the tomatoes fusing with the marinade, the vinegar, the soy sauce, really kind of dancing in song together. You know, that's exactly what you want. Now that the heat is higher, just a little bit more, we'll let that sauce thicken up, and then we'll be good to plate, and I'll show you then. All right, another 5 minutes has passed, so the chicken adobo is good to go. I don't want to cook it too long because this meat's starting to fall off the bone, which is what we don't want. It's not the worst thing in the world because some of them have already kind of fell off the bone, but there's some good pieces in here that we should kind of put on our plate. Let's get some rice, put it right in the middle. Boom. Take it right off. Take that aside. Get my pieces of chicken. This is what you want to see right there. Oh. We'll do one chicken right on the top. Just inside. There. You want to make sure you get those onions and garlic bits pieces. Once you put that over the rice. Not the prettiest thing, but it's damn good. Now it's time for the green onions. Just put it on the top. There you have it. Chicken adobo. Alright. Got a spoon, got a fork, gotta have it. Let's take a first bite. See, that chicken is just coming right off. That's how you know. Didn't come off too early. Get that skin, right? Scoop of rice, some green onions on the top right there, maybe. Mouth is watering already, man. Yes, sir. The not so chicken adobo. Thanks for watching the video. Recipes down below. Appreciate you coming in, and take care.